Hey, Thomas here, and I have Brian on the channel. He's from Critical Bench. We're actually here at the Critical Bench compound. Pretty sweet area. And today you're gonna find out if you have lazy glutes. And he's gonna be taking us through a few tests here in a few moments. But if you're suffering from lazy glutes here, what you can see is lower back pain, knee pain, and a lot of other issues with your training. So it's gonna be really important you watch this video all the way through. And he's gonna share with us a resource at the end to help unlock your glutes at the end of this video.
So like Thomas just said, you might be suffering from lazy glute syndrome. In other words, your glutes aren't activating properly. So I introduced Thomas to a few simple glute activation testing assessments, or whatever you want to call it, just to see if your glutes are actually firing properly. The first one is you're just gonna stand on one leg. You're gonna slightly evert or point your toes out, and then you're gonna extend the leg back, keeping it up off the ground, and you're gonna try to feel if your glutes are being activated. So the right leg, the right glute should be firing at this point. And you can obviously switch to the other side to see if the left glute is. It's pretty much just a balance test, just seeing if that glute is engaged as you extend the hips, because the glutes is primarily, the main function is hip extension, which just means getting that leg behind you. So that's one simple exercise or simple test. You can see if that's if your glutes are not activated. Another way to do it is simply get on the floor. Kind of the same thing. You're going to go one leg at a time. So it doesn't matter which leg is which. Pick it straight up, still keeping that foot slightly pointed out. Now, as you notice, he's just put his hand on his butt there to see if it's activating. Both sides, good. Now, if you feel one side is more lopsided than the other, then you want to see really the combined effect. So then you would go to a two glute squeeze to see if both are firing properly. Now, like I said, if you've noticed one is just kind of delayed, there might be some underlying issues that you might need to get addressed, either through a chiropractor, a physiotherapist, a strength coach, because there could be some more underlying issues that you might just not be aware of. Okay, so the next one, you're going to flip on over, get to a glute bridge position. Now the same thing, one leg at a time. So either one, doesn't matter which we start with. Hips up, to put the hand on the butt there just to see what you're working with. Hopefully that butt should be nice and hard. Go to the same thing on the other side. Give it a poke, you know, a nice little butt grab in there for a second or two. And you can do the same thing with two legs. Squeeze at the top, making sure your tailbone is tucked back. This is very important when you're in this position. Good, and if you feel both glutes firing properly, that's a good sign. So all these exercises Thomas just showed you and what I just shared you with, they're actually activation exercises. So if you know you're like, hey, I just can't seem to train my butt properly, like there's no growth, there's no development, or I've got a flat, saggy bottom, these are activation exercises that will prime the muscle, wake up those nerve endings, and in order for them, the glutes, to do exactly what they're intended to do, which is move and be explosive in its manner. So what I always recommend with my athletes and clients is that you have to activate the glutes first before you do any type of glute training. That's going to stimulate the most muscle growth, and that's where the most good muscle damage is going to take place. So stretching is important, but activation is probably more important than what a lot of people realize.
And would you do those just before your workouts?
That's a good question. So you would do these exercises, the activation exercises, definitely before you start your exercise. I would do like a normal dynamic warm-up, you know, some cardio for a few minutes, you know, maybe do some mobility stuff on the floor, and then get into your activation exercises, and then get into your big heavy lifts or big movements, you know, your complex training, sports, things like that. Or another way to use these exercises is after your glutes have been dormant for a while. In other words, sitting on your butt all day, you know, long plane ride, long car ride, sitting at the desk, because when you put pressure on it, it inhibits the glute response. The muscles kind of just say, hey, I'm not being used. I'm going to shut off the nerve fibers. So they're not going to be used when you're in a seated position. So like after a long day, activate them by doing these maybe, you know, before you go home or after, whenever you want. But definitely before you exercise, and also after you've been sitting on your butt a long time. Again, do these exercises 5 reps. I would recommend at least 2 rounds of each activation exercise. And the longer you hold it, it's not always beneficial. Maybe 5-10 second squeeze, max isometric squeeze for each exercise or each hold. Switch sides is okay, but 5 reps, anywhere from 5 to 10, maybe 15-20 second max iso holds and that really wakes up the nerve endings for maximum glute growth. That was a mouthful, but hopefully you learned a little bit on how to test your glutes to see if they're awake, and also how to activate them if they are sleeping.
All right, thanks for sharing that test with us and those exercises there. If you're at home, make sure to test out, see if you have lazy glutes, and work on those exercises there. Easy to do in home. Now, if you want to go further with your training, check out his Unlock Your Glutes program. I'll put a link in the description. Check that out. Great exercises inside there. And as always, train safe. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. And make sure to subscribe to Brian's channel here, Critical Bench. I'll leave a link down in the description. Again, thanks for joining me on the channel.
You got it, man.
And having me out at your
fun.
awesome gym. Yeah, it's a good time.